Jim. And after this meeting, I'll talk.
Have you seen it with her? Have you seen it with?
No, I haven't seen Spring up to date. She does that kind of work, or very similar to it. So as soon as I get a hold of her, I'll get more information.
On that note, having him mention Jeff Williams, can we do a moment of silence for Frank?
Yeah.
Jeff,
And
Frank Dietrich.
yeah, for the village board and for the purpose of the minutes, we'd like to ask everyone to join us in a moment of silence and tribute to two great members of our community who passed away this past week, Frank Dietrich and Jeff Colleen. Thank you very much. First, I'd like to open the public hearing on proposed local law. Proposed local law number 7 of 2022, which amends certain fees charged for licensed of occupation and businesses for individuals, services, and business establishments that do business in the village of Lake George. There is a table available for anyone that would like to see it. Basically, we are increasing the charges for doing business in the village of Lake George when an individual obtains a license of occupation and business from our village clerk. And we are increasing the fees by $25, which was done the last time in 2006, I believe. This fee is only enough to cover what we actually spend to service that service, to fill out the forms, do the paperwork, and in many instances send several notices to the business people that their fees are unpaid, including sending our code enforcement officer there to the establishments to make sure that they obtain a license of occupation and business. So we'll hold that public hearing open for the period of time in case there's people that come in later that would like to speak, or in case there's anyone that's on Zoom that would like to comment on that, and we'll go back to it, but we'll carry on with our regular agenda as we usually do in the past. And the first item is approval of the minutes of our last regular meeting as presented this evening. The meeting held on November 21st. All members of the village board were present.
I'd like to make a comment or a correction.
Yeah.
When I made the motion for resolution 190, I don't think the resolution really reflects the motion that I made. It says exact date to begin posting to be determined.
Which page is it on? 190, resolution 190?
190, right.
Okay.
At the time, I was under the impression that Julie had it all figured out, was ready to go with moving forward with posting.
I had the steps on how to do it, and the intent was to work on it Friday with Lori, but then we had a snow day. And then today we ended up having internet issues. So I was hoping to get it done today for today's meeting, but it didn't get done just because of last minute.
So is there a work, so it's something like can be done in one day?
It should be, yeah. It's just opening up a YouTube account and coming downstairs and actually trying it.
Okay, so we've had 30 days since the last meeting.
Okay.
Did you say resolution 190?
190, yes.
190 what?
190-2022.
I have it on.
Resolution 190 I have is Citizen of the Year nominations. What resolution are you talking about?
The one that was, well, I can read it to you if you like. It says, be it resolved that the Village of Lake George Board of Trustees to do all it can to assist in transparency, increase citizen awareness, will add video recordings to our monthly meetings, which I should have specified
okay.
there. To YouTube, exact date to be, get posting to be determined. And actually, the county, they, as you know, they post their committee meetings too. We have committee meetings, we have, special meetings, and then we have regular board meetings. In my mind, the more that we can, information present to the public, the better. And as I said, I really was surprised that it wasn't active duty at this meeting.
Well, that has nothing to do with the minutes, does it?
Well, what I'm saying is that I don't believe this resolution reflects my motion, because I didn't make a motion to start the posting. In my mind, it was determined. It was determined that posting would begin as soon as possible,
Okay, as soon as we're able to set it up,
which is a one-day project, and it's been 30 days.
but we just haven't, I guess they haven't been able to set it up yet, so it's not like they're, waiting until January 1st or anything. They probably just busy trying to get other things done. It's not like they haven't been working on it, trying to anyway. She said right there, they're gonna do it on Friday.
That was a month
So
ago.
exact date to begin posting to be determined.
That is very ambiguous to me. It's kind of determined by who, by what, and by when and why. Determined by,
My assumption was that I would let you know, okay, it's all set, it started today kind of thing, when we came into our meeting.
Did you make the motion?
oh, I made the motion, Ray seconded it.
We didn't put a date or a time on it. We just left it open
There
to.
was no date or time.
There wasn't, no.
I don't think anybody knew exactly. Right.
Right, I mean, you know,
Well, the question is whether the minutes are correct or not. That's the only thing we can discuss now. Does this reflect what you believe your motion said?
I think what the discussion was that it was going to be delayed to the point where our subscription to Zoom was going to expire. And I said, why don't we just start it now? Why are we waiting? So now in my mind was the next day or the day after. It was prior to this meeting for certain. So I believe I said, well,
You said as soon as
Right,
possible is what you
I
would
said,
say.
why not? I said, why not right away? Why wait? Why should we wait? And this is to be determined. That's
I see what you mean. Okay.
pretty,
So what you're saying is you would like it to read, the recording should be set up as soon as possible.
well, actually, Joe brought up a good point. Maybe we can just set a date.
Well, I think.
January 1st, by January 1st or something like that, as soon as possible.
Are you okay with that, or?
Well, you gotta be okay with it too, because you seconded it.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I wanna, if he's okay with it,
I'm
I'll.
just trying to get to the bottom of what you want.
When you say something like to be determined or as soon as possible, that's just open-ended and it doesn't, it could be as soon as
Right.
possible. Who determines that? Or
Well, what you're saying is the minutes do not reflect what you said,
What he meant to
His
say.
intention.
not meant to say,
Right.
what he said.
Right.
Nobody can read people's minds when they do minutes of meetings.
Oh.
So if you said it should be done as soon as possible, then if Ray accepts that, we'll change the minutes of the meeting.
I believe what I said was that when Ray said, that's a problem with minutes versus a YouTube video. If there was any question what I said, I would just go back to the YouTube video and say, oh, that's what I said, or Julie'd have to go back to the recording. But I believe what I said was, the question came up, or the the idea was that to wait until our subscription ended in May, and I said, why don't we just start now? So, but that is probably not practical because now was at that meeting, but I certainly would have thought it would have been by now, so.
You have to have Julie go back and listen. Because you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All you can say is either these minutes are not correct or they are correct.
Can I amend the minutes? Can I
You-
amend my,
You can amend your motion,
motion? Okay,
you can amend your motion right now,
okay,
right as we're looking.
that probably makes the most sense.
Right,
And this may require some discussion because I never brought up at what meeting, so maybe that the board might want to not agree with my intentions of posting all meetings. So
So are you amending your motion to include all meetings, even special meetings? We're not set up upstairs for,
that means it would have to be downstairs.
right,
Right.
all meetings would have to be downstairs if we're gonna record all of them.
yeah. Well, before you amend your motion, we should decide what it's gonna be.
Discuss that.
Yeah. It's inconvenient, sometimes to hold meetings down here because the material is all upstairs. And, having to bring the stuff down, sometimes engineers' drawings, pads, things like that. It can be done, it just depends what, if you wanna hold, meetings down here all the time for 2 or 3 people or whatever, there is a meeting. The other thing is, you may want to differentiate between regularly scheduled meetings of the village board and you can't just say meetings because I meet in that room sometimes with 2 other people. And none of you are there, or Ray might be there, or John, or you may be there. We meet with somebody, one other person. I don't think you talk about those kind of meetings. You may be talking about committee meetings and village board.
How about anytime there's a quorum?
That would work.
How's that?
Quorum of the
Special
board.
meetings and such.
Anytime there's a quorum, which is votes being taken.
That would work.
So if I say that we post our YouTube video, we post to YouTube anytime there's a quorum and beginning January 1st, 2023, would that be acceptable too?
Any meetings
And
after January first,
Yeah.
yeah, next year, starting next year, yeah.
Is that agreeable with you?
I will second
Okay,
that
so
motion.
what you're doing is you're amending resolution number 19.
Because either I didn't explain it properly or got lost in translation. I'm not faulting anybody, but I'm partly to blame. I didn't specify those things.
Okay, so there's a motion in regards to the minutes of our last regular meeting to amend resolution 190 as stated this evening by trustee Root, seconded by trustee Perry. Is there any further discussion on that?
We've decided by our next regular board meeting.
January 1st.
January 1st.
So
Well,
if
our
there-
next board meeting is January 9th. So.
well, if there's a special meeting or something like that before their next, so. I mean, is that reasonable, Julie, that you can get that done?
Five days left, right?
January
There's no
1st.
issues.
Fine?
Essentially,
January
we run into
1st.
no issues.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, like I said, once we start doing it and playing with it, that's,
Yeah. It looked like you had it all figured out last time.
yeah, like I said, it's basically following instructions, but
Yeah, I don't wanna be, rehashing this all out again, but the biggest thing is we just weren't sure how to record it and take it off the Zoom to put it on the.
right, and it's just a matter of actually following the steps to see if it works and.
Right. So that was the big thing.
I can lend a hand too. if you-
Just try to get the steps of get it recorded and transferred it, and whether or not they can be transferred or.
Mhm.
That was the big thing.
'Cause I don't know
Showing
where
it
we go.
on YouTube.
I don't know how to find
Recording it
the
and then
previous
transferring it.
recordings on.
I think that was what they were looking at.
We'll figure it out.
So,
All those in favor say aye,
uh,
opposed nay. And now we'll take a motion to approve the minutes of the last regular meeting with that amendment. Motion by trustee Root, second. Seconded by trustee Perry. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's carried. We have several monthly reports this evening that are available to anyone here free of charge from the sanitation department, planning and zoning, rec center, superintendent of public works, Caldwell Sewer District, meter revenues, teen center, and the fire department. And a reminder that the public hearing I opened on chapter 135, 2, title license and permits and fees. We have the president of the fire department here tonight, Donnie Smith. Donnie, you have something you want to bring to the board?
Yeah, I had a couple of things to go over. An update on the key system. We were switching over all the keys. That's going good. He did run into a few issues because the locks on the door are from 2008, and comparing that to the new software, we've run into some issues, and we ran into 2 doors that we were having a problem. It'll be about $2,500 to that above what we already had. If we want to wait until June, it's we can do that and put that in the new budget if that would be better. I don't know what you want to
Are the
do.
doors, so the doors.
There was
need to be
a
accessible?
we can get it. We can deal with it until June. That's not going to be an
You won't be
issue.
locked out or?
Nope, nope.
for some reason?
We're good. We're good. We've been locked out a few times. We only had 1 door to get in a few times, but we're good.
We can look tomorrow.
Okay,
We don't have to make a decision.
Nope.
As long as the board agrees. Julie and I will look tomorrow and see what's left in some of the accounts.
okay.
And if it can be done now while he's there, we just as soon, I think, do it while he's there.
And I can get you a formal, quote of exactly what he needs to
Yeah,
do.
we do that too, yeah.
Perfect. I can get you that. I'll have him get everything ready for me tomorrow. Our membership did pass a vote that we want to bring Hudson Valley Convention back in 2025. I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. We don't know all the details and everything, but we were approached and asked if we would bring it back up this way. They've asked us for years and years. And our membership, we now have a lot of young people that would be willing to help. And that's the big thing, is making sure we have enough help to do it. And we talked about it the last 2 meetings, and they did vote to bring it back. So I just wanted to.
I thought they were coming back starting this year again.
Nope, they're in Queensbury this year. The next year they're in Saugerties, and then they want to come back to Lake George, and the membership's willing to.
They're staying, most of them are staying.
Yeah, they always stay here. Yep, when they're in Queensbury, they always stay here, which brings a lot of revenue to the village. But in 2025, we want to bring the parades and everything back. So just kind of a little heads up that will be coming our way.
No, the door lock, sorry to. I
Yeah,
meant to
no,
ask before
you're
we
okay.
Changed, is that through an app on their phone, the fire?
Yes, the back door, the main door where everybody parks and goes in, they can use their phone or they can use a key fob. We did have an incident where a vendor was there to fix the windshield broke out of one of the chief's cars, and Safe Light was there, and I was able just to open my app. He was standing by the door. I hit the button, the door opened, he was able to go in and do it. And I was like, oh, this is heaven. I didn't have to call Don Fangboner and say, Don, can you go let him in for me? Because that's what we've done for so many years. He does. Now he's a little forgetful. You have to do a second call and say, hey, Don, did you really go let him in for me? So yes, it was wonderful. And Warrensburg Fire was there, and for some reason their key didn't work, but we were like, nope, go to the door. We hit the button right from our Christmas party, and they got right in. So they're like, hey, how'd you guys do that? So, people are taking notice.
Finder's fee for that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The other thing I had was just a reminder that we had talked about putting on the vote for March about raising the LoSAP, that extra $200. So that was just a reminder that I think,
We're all set to do that.
yes, that Bob, I think Bob might have talked to Danae about that, but I just that was just more or less a reminder that we were supposed to do that in March, because I know there's things that have to be done prior to that. And the only other thing I had was the cancer policy. I know we've talked about it a couple of times. We only have the basic plan for the cancer policy, but we're noticing more and more people are getting sick as they get older. And our members would really like to see that go up to the premium policy instead of the basic policy. They figure that they're worth it. So they're looking for that to be looked into and not stay at the basic policy. I know we're in the process of renewing it right now. And they would really, that's something that's,
Who's looking into it?
we're in the process of
Oh,
renewing
yeah.
it right
Okay.
now.
All right.
So, I mean, our roster, I have the roster, I think I sent it to you today, actually. I took people off the roster, so the number is coming down. I think I added one and I think I took 2 or 3 people off it. But they're like, we're still on the basic policy. This is our lives we're dealing with. We take all the precautions in our gear and, every chance, we wash down our gear after fires. We're doing everything on our end to protect our members. But, that policy is really going to help, especially in years to come. And we've had a couple of people that actually had cancer or do have cancer. So, that policy means a lot to our members.
Okay.
So if we can get that from the basic policy up to the premium, that would mean a lot to our members.
Well, we're working on our budget starting next month, so.
Okay,
Okay.
I know, when does it renew, Julie?
I don't have it in front
I
of
think
me.
I think it's before your budget, but I don't know the details. I just know the roster has to come back to you.
All right. Well,
And I think that was it for what I had for you.
Okay. All right, thank you. We have several resolutions here. The first is the monitoring contract for New York Fire and Safety for our village buildings. The second is the New York Fire and Security Annual Inspection for our water treatment plant. The third is snowmobile and ATV access for our winter months. Those are the streets that are designated in our local law only specifically during winter carnival, so that ATVs and snowmobiles have access to all of the village businesses that will remain open during the winter carnival. Our water access pause, which we will take that one out for now. And authorized payment for the fire chief's vehicle. The fire chief's vehicle is here. He's using it. It's red. It's not white anymore. So if you see a red chief's vehicle, you know that's the new one. And we are asking in that same resolution to declare the 2010 Tahoe as surplus, so we can get rid of it perhaps at the auction or to anyone that might be interested in it. And then the last resolution allows us to pay the payments to be made at the wastewater treatment plant for various work that is still being completed up there in line with the contract. So I'd like to ask the board's pleasure on those various resolutions, with the exception of the water access pause, which is a resolution that's been drawn by our attorney. I'm going to see if I can find that here. You know what number that is?
Well, so I didn't mind. There's not a number on it. It's just the one that you were looking at today in there.
Okay, I'll make a motion and we accept those resolutions.
Mayor, I'd like to make a comment before we
Yes.
get to that point.
Which one?
On the, yes.
I know, right? I was surprised you hadn't said it yet.
Well, I was waiting for the break in the action there, but regarding the resolution on ATVs, snowmobiles access to streets in the village. Number one, there it says on following streets commencing and it's blank. There is no date.
Well, yeah, because I would fill that in when we would.
But we would set the date. too.
That-
That's so
Yeah.
we haven't set, we need to set a date.
It has to begin on, we usually begin it on the first day of February, and we usually end it the last day of February. It's just during the 4 weekends of the winter carnival.
Because it says until ice out on Lake George.
That's why we had it last
That's how we did have it last year.
Oh,
We did
did
say
I
I
saw?
remember that now.
Okay.
What if it never comes in? I don't know. It's got one.
Well,
I
that
like
makes-
that better, don't you?
Yeah, because that gives them access to the village, that's right.
That's
Otherwise, there wouldn't be any real reason for it.
And once again, I reiterate that I think that pedestrian walkways are for pedestrians and not for vehicles, so I will not be voting in favor of that
You wanna
resolution.
pull that one out, and we can vote on the rest of them, vote on that one separately?
I could, but I just, this, gives them access to the, to go on the streets of the village.
It says lakefront walkway.
And the lakefront walkway, yeah. It does say walkway.
It doesn't say lakefront
Yeah.
highway, it says.
Yeah, I'll take that one out.
In Shepherd Park.
Well, they do, they come up through the park to get,
Right.
to get to the, street.
And I know from being on Ottawa Street where I live, which is not part of the allowable area, they go by there all the time. So there's no real enforcement and it develops into a free for all somewhat. So in any case, I'll be voting against it again.
Okay, I'll take that out. Okay, we'll just take the other ones then. To New York Fire and the fire chief's vehicle. I'll make a motion to approve this. There's a second.
I'll second it.
Seconded by trustee Joe. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And then we'll talk about the ATVs. Is there any other comments?
So did you nail down the dates? It's beginning February 1st.
February first would be the beginning. The first weekend in February is the first weekend of the carnival, I'm sure.
And ending ice out, is that what you decided?
Ice out. That's the way it's always been, right? for the fall. How does the board feel about that?
I'm fine with them, just looking at the street descriptions, cause, I mean,
The reason we included the Escal and them in there is because the back street barbecue, where there was always somebody there, and they always were in the winter carnival. They have a poker run, they always include them in that poker run. Plus, it gives them access to the Price Chopper and the bakery and places like that that are on the back streets. And
but not Cooper or Helen or.
none of those are on there, no.
People still ride their snowmobiles.
They
down
do on
and whatever.
Ottawa,
Yeah,
yes,
so
anywhere.
nothing past.
Yeah, and the chamber and the carnival prints they
Yeah, a map.
print a map
Pretty incorrect
annually,
map.
and they outline the streets in red that are available, and we've never had any problems with it to date.
I've also seen where they put out a scavenger hunt, you know, a scavenger thing. And you'll have items to be found on Lake Avenue, which isn't anywhere near any, so
Yeah.
it's the.
So,
They had that last year.
yeah, I
too.
don't know, I'll have to let them
DJs.
know about that, because they can't get access to Lake Avenue now anywhere other than on the main road. Yeah, I'll tell the lady, I'm actually meeting with her tomorrow.
And I've seen them on sidewalks on Canada Street, and, you know, so
Well, they're
they
on-
show up, they don't particularly know where they go, they just go and wait for someone to.
Yeah.
Say they can't be there or something. So,
What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion, we adopt, the discussed, resolution for the, allowing ATVs and snowmobiles.
There's a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Joe. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay.
nay.
Okay, the last one is I talked to our attorney and he said it's really not necessary for us to go into a moratorium type legality type thing for the water access. If the village believes that we have a problem or may have a problem because of all of the various applications being made, mostly in the town for large developments, then we can just merely pass a resolution. So our village attorney has drafted this resolution for us this evening. And it basically states that for a period of 6 months, the village will suspend acceptance of requests for water supply from the village's drinking system, except for individual single-family residential homes, as requests that the mayor then may approve those only. So, since we did this, I've had a request for other than single-family residential homes. And, I wanted to mention it tonight to the board, so you would know, that it's my feeling that this is the way it should be. We had two requests just today. One was for a new laundromat opening up in the town. And, the feeling of the, some of the folks were that, that should be okay. And then there's also another new development going in, at where East Cove Restaurant is, which is 27 single units. But it's housing units. But they're not single family residential, they're rentals. So I would just think for my purpose, the next 3 months and whoever becomes the next mayor, that if this isn't very specific, you're gonna be making a lot of judgment calls.
Yeah.
It was the feeling that this individual, who was talking about the, laundromat, was that would be okay. The laundromat uses a lot of water. And, they use a lot more than a single family residential home for sure. And then I started thinking about supposing someone comes in and leases the old, or purchases the Howard Johnson's restaurant, which has been kind of vacant for several years. It would be very difficult for the mayor to have to keep coming back to the village board with all these, if we didn't keep it, exactly to what it says, single family residential homes. But we've got some, multiple dwelling, units in the village coming down the pike that we know of, some condominiums and so forth that we gotta make sure we need to be able to service them first. So I would suggest for the next 6 months that we adopt this resolution as it's been drawn, and that it specifically says single family residential homes. That should be pretty easy to determine, and it'll be a lot different than somebody, you could say somebody's gonna build a liquor store in the town and they wanna open it up. That's not a single family residential home. You'd be making all sorts of judgment calls. You'd like to have them as customers, but this is only for 6 months. The fellow who's doing the CT Mail has already been in contact with us, gathering a lot of information. And they said the study will be done by then, so you should have a pretty good idea.
What if there's a development that has 10 single family homes in that development? Like what's the little development on the outside of the village? Goes down the hill, something like that. They're all single family
Oh,
homes.
military. Trail.
No, next to Lockley.
Oh, okay.
What's the
Yeah,
name of it?
Scrimshaw.
Yeah,
Scrimshaw Estates, right? Yeah, something like that. There's, I don't know how many single family homes are in there, but something.
I don't think we'd get anything too big, but I would guess that they would be eligible.
Yeah.
Because it's a single family. They're a lot different than any other type of a business, particularly a restaurant or a laundromat, they're.
Just to be clear. so
Yeah,
that you
I
don't
saw
get-
the table today that they use, and it's quite a big difference between a single family home and any type of a business except a retail store, something like that. But town doesn't have a lot of those.
Then you get that other air, near the B&B going in, down by the shoreline.
There are 4, that's
in the village,
that's in the village, yeah.
Yeah, we take care
But
of it.
there are the four you see on the east side down, Tim knows where they are, the condominium projects that you see that are underway right now, they've all been approved. They've already been through the process and been approved. Those are not included in this at all. So they're all well underway, they're all under construction, and they're all okay. But there is another one just as large going in next to the East Cove as you see right next to it now, so. That would not be okay. So, we need to adopt this resolution if the board feels that that's the proper thing to do.
Can you read it, or can we?
I'm not gonna read it all
It's
in
in the,
my
it's
throat.
right here.
Oh,
But
it's in
you
here?
got
Yeah,
it in
yeah,
front of
it's,
you.
I don't know what page it is, John, 35.
Yeah,
35 of 104.
Yeah. Or 36 maybe.
Okay, on individual lots and to be connected to an existing water could be it further. Okay.
did they bring in the insurance for the New Year's swim, Duffy's Tavern?
I don't know, I'd have to ask,
Was not here.
I'd have to ask Denise, because everything that she gave me, I
See
have
it
in here.
this year?
It also says existing water lines, so that no new water lines, whatever.
What's the board's pleasure?
Make a motion to approve the water access clause resolution.
And the motion by trustee Perry, is there a second? Seconded by trustee Earl. Any further discussion? You had a chance to read it, everybody? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's carried. We go on to the special events and facility use applications. There is one here from Rock the Dock Music Festival, the Winter Carnival Parade, and the New Year's Day Polar Plunge. Also, the Lake George Arts and Crafts Festival, which would be held at Wood Park August 28th and 29th. And I'd ask the board, what's the pleasure on those? I just would want to say that if we approve these, they would be subject to them filing their
Insurance, right?
insurance certificates with the village. I don't see any of the
Yeah,
certificates.
it's written right as, it's in the resolution, we write in there, contingent upon receipt of all fees, insurance, and other necessary documents.
All right. Does anyone want to make that motion?
I'll make that a motion, we accept those.
Motion by trustee Joe, is there a second? Seconded by trustee Earl.
These are all repeat events.
They're all repeat, everyone except the Arts and Crafts Festival, that's brand new. That's at Wood Park. You know, the only thing, the Winter Carnival doesn't do the swim anymore. It's done by Linda Duffy, of course, from Duffy's Tavern, where she was. And I just want to make sure that they all have their insurance, that's all, because it's a big event.
Now, with the parade, 4 full weekends, he's doing the parades.
The Winter Carnival,
Yeah. He's done
there's only one parade.
It's just one that,
Parade's the first weekend.
yeah, it's,
It says days,
There's only one little parade, that's the first
one
one.
carnival, weekends, in February. And then I thought she had a couple of,
I saw she had dates, but I thought it was just reflective of the weekends.
oh, I don't know, it says dates requested, the fourth, the fifth, the eleventh, the twelfth, the 19th, 18th, 19th, 21st, and 26th.
Right,
So those are all 4 weekends.
or weekend.
If it's not operating every weekend.
Oh, she's not, I thought that's what she. had
Yeah, like
before
if you look at the
separate.
resolution, we have it be it resolved for January first.
Okay,
It's just that one date.
just the one day for the parade.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's all.
And as for the Lake George Arts, Craft and Music Festival, that person is also related to the person that is doing the farmer's market and the 3 events.
He's the same gentleman that does our farmer's market, yes.
Tim,
Vince,
it says Tim.
Yeah.
Tim and Vince are the same person?
the one that is doing the, craft show,
It says Tim.
Tim on that one.
where's his application?
Tim at Craft Producers.
Mhm.
Yeah, a minute here, let me find it.
Could be that one, that's one.
Well, it says Tim,
It does say Tim,
his name is Vince, but I know him by the name of Vince.
and that's what all of his other paperwork is.
Yeah, he came in, filled it out right here. I don't know if he's using another name
This is
now.
the application for Charles McPherson's place,
Yeah,
Arts and Crafts.
His name is printed out.
it says Tim.
It's the bottom, the name.
Maybe we've been calling him the wrong name all this time.
Well, he only went with 6,000. Vince went with 10,000, so it can't be the same. It's expected to attend.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I was here when he filled it out. I don't know why it's Tim. I don't know. Were you here, Tim? Did you confuse him?
Yeah.
He was here with his own name?
You may.
You don't look like a cynical.
Emails, Tim,
Tim's.
Craft Producers,
He did too?
hmm,
Oh, wait a
on
minute.
his application. his email.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is a different guy. There's 2 arts and crafts show going on down there. This is the gentleman from Vermont. Okay. This
Yeah.
is not
No
this
relation.
is not Vince, no.
This is all.
This is the same gentleman that did the arts and crafts show last year and the barbecue
Ah,
festival
the one that tore up the lawn down there with all the tire tracks and
Yeah.
the mud. Remember, we had to have all that repair work done?
2 years ago.
2 years
I'm
ago.
not sure about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't-
Oh, ask Golden.
I don't remember.
And Keith, Keith's not on, but if he had arranged with him, that, he fixed it.
Yeah,
He did, he paid for the reparation, so
okay,
it worked out, but. it was a
okay. I'll
disaster.
make a motion to approve those, subject to their getting their, insurance certificates.
Is the alcohol waiver part of it also on all these things?
On his, he's the only one at Wood Park. And he did, I don't believe he had alcohol last year.
What's this?
No, he did, yeah, he
How
did.
many of that with
He had
requests for
people that
alcohol?
actually stole or crafters that had it.
It's part of the resolution.
Yeah, it is, yeah. All right. Is there a second? Seconded by trustee Ruth. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's carried. We, put out our fireworks to bid. We received 1 bid this year from, Santori Famous Fireworks. And, they bid $6,750 for a show and bid $12,500 for, our 4th of July show.
Yeah, they've been creeping up.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the board's pleasure on the bid?
Are we still successful at obtaining donations and contributions?
We were successful, to some extent, both years with sponsors, and I was also successful in going to the, county and getting them, to, give us a, sponsorship for $25,000. And, we already signed a contract for this year. So that'll cover, almost half of what they were, and the town also contributes $17,500 towards the show, so we have at least half the cost covered, but then the chamber helps us with sponsors for each individual show. And the sponsorship is only half of what the cost is.
Motion to approve.
Motion by trustee Perry, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by trustee Joe. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. You have ballots. We had ballots on our table this morning that Julie put in an envelope for our Citizen of the Year vote, and Julie will open those tomorrow, and we'll let you know who, the two nominees were trustee Earl and, our past friend, William Dow. Chickens in the Village. We found out when we called, Glens Falls that they, never passed any local law. We thought they did. We read the media and we knew they were working on it, but they never did, pass one. So we were able to get a sample of one, keeping of fowl and animals from the village of Canton, New York. And you have a copy of that tonight in your book. And I'm assuming that you all would like to read that and let us know if you would like to pursue it and discuss it, continue discussion of it at our next regular meeting. It's a pretty comprehensive local law, and if you'd like, I'll call Canton, try to find out how it's been working. It's applies to chickens and other fowl along with rabbits. And I can tell you that the only problem we've ever had in the village up to now is cats.
Yeah.
The harboring of several cats, and that still is a problem, and we're trying to work it out. But I think the person who had the chickens is gone. They were a renter, and we haven't had any problems in the past few weeks about that.
I did look that over. I believe that somewhere I remember seeing that it was up to the person that wanted to keep the chickens to ask their neighbor if it was okay. Is that, did I see that somewhere, or?
I think I
Yeah.
just read it where
Must have
they
a
didn't
neighbor.
have to ask them. Without the written consent of the adjoining property owners and the board of trustees.
That's for the village of
Oh,
Canton.
no person
Yeah, yeah.
And then,
or shall keep chickens without the written, yeah, no, it doesn't say you have to ask permission.
So if that would put the neighbor in an awkward position to say to somebody, no, I don't want you to.
Well, it doesn't say that here in this one. It doesn't say anything here, but when you have a notice, I don't see where it says anything in here about needing. Oh, maybe there's some pages ahead of it here. I
Yeah,
didn't
the
read.
one page. of the-
Oh,
well,
I
there's
see.
two different, there's two examples. There's one from the
Oh,
village
okay.
of Canton, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
there's one from the town of Bolton.
And there's one from the town of Bolton. That's
So I
right.
gave you two examples to look at.
Yeah. Yep. When you have and local law of this or nature, or whatever, it'll be in the. All the neighbors will get a notice anyway within 500 feet. If somebody decides they want to come before the village board and have chickens, all the neighbors within 500 feet will get a notice. I'm sure they'll turn out for the meeting.
When it was a hot topic in the news area, local news,
Glens
a
Falls.
few years, I don't know, what's the Glens Falls?
It was Glens
Yeah, it
Falls.
was-
Yeah, we
But
thought
I
they
think,
adopted.
but I think Hudson Falls was next.
They
Yeah.
had
I
something.
don't know if it was exactly the same time. But I remember one of the conditions was that you had that there was a minimum lot size
Mm,
that you had to have.
And they had to be a certain distance from property line. This
Yeah.
the Bolton, says 50 linear feet from the property line. And as well as 200 feet from a stream or a shoreline.
That'd be tough to pull off in the village as close as people are. You couldn't get that far away from their neighbors, I don't think.
Well, we don't have to, adopt exactly what they have, but I'd like to hear more people tell me that they want chickens. I mean, I only heard from a couple people, that's why I brought it up, so I didn't know that.
yeah.
I don't want chickens. I can assure you
Or
of that.
chickens next door, that's more important, you know.
Take the eggs.
We got a lot of other animals in the village running around now that, but we can't really describe them in a local law, but we're not sure whether they're legal or not, but if we started adopting, local laws about certain animals in the village, we'd have to cover a wide spectrum.
Well, yeah, party animals.
Okay. So, anyway, we have a couple samples there for you to look at. The sewer rate status, I want you to know that we've furnished our consultant, Jeffrey Smith, with all the data that he has asked us for, and he will be getting back to us right after the first of the year with information concerning a sewer rate. He knows that our intention is to put it in place while we're working on a separate tax rate for the people in the village. I did send out some emails to the village board because there were a couple of items in there that were, I thought were pretty important. One was, and I've been talking to Tim about it, one was what the figure that a lot of communities use as to the amount of water on your meter, how much you apply it to the sewer rate. And he was suggesting that several communities use 80%. And when I asked him why, he kept mentioning pools and sprinklers. There's only one house in the village that has a pool and a sprinkler, and I live alone, and that's me. It's gonna be affected more by this than anyone
And a
else.
urinal too.
But, and a urinal, which most houses don't have. And, you shouldn't have brought that up. Ken.
Sorry.
Getting a little bit personal here.
We're not on YouTube yet.
But, if you think about the village, there isn't anyone else that I'm aware of except, one, small motel and, the school and myself that has a sprinkler system in their lawn. And the lawns in the village are relatively small. And the pools in the village are few and far between. I think I built 3 out of the 5. So I know I did, as a matter of fact. So but the pools, our pools, we don't take the water out, we leave it in. So I'm not concerned about that. So I asked him if he thought 85 was fair, which I'd ask you folks too, because I don't want him to go figure it one and then never come back with another. I even in talking with Tim, I don't know if you want to add anything here, Tim, but I mean, I know in the town, the lawns are larger. There's more sprinkler systems like at the Holiday Inn, and the Marriott, they're big, and I can understand they probably would say that 85% or 90 might be too much. But they're few and far between. That's what I was gonna say.
Whatever,
So I really think 85% is very fair.
yeah, whatever percentage you choose, you still have to raise the same amount of money. You still have to raise money.
Then there's the multiplier and the rate, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just what's fair,
right.
what people think is fair, because when
It's all fuzzy
you,
math.
when you go to these sewer rates, that's the first thing they're gonna say is, all my water doesn't go down the drain, which I would say, I'd be one of the first. But the average household, no, mostly everything except what they drink.
Yeah.
Is going
Well,
down,
eventually
going
it's
down the
there
sewer.
There'll be plenty of grievances once this hits the road. Like John Carr's gonna say he ships out a lot of his water, cases of beer going out. Truckloads, so a lot of his water is not going down the drain, it's
Yeah, perfect example, yeah.
down my drain. So,
Yeah. Well, that's true, but again, you can't, like Tim said, you're gonna have to raise a certain amount of money no matter how it is, so you trade the 85% for a little lower tax rate, or sewer rate, so to speak, yeah. But I think it's certainly, nobody can argue with the fact that it isn't gonna be the fairest way to do it. Particularly now with the.
Do you need a motion on that?
No, what we'll do is, as soon as he gets the info for us, we'll call a workshop. And he's gonna come over and he'll sit down with us and we'll have a workshop. We'll go through the whole thing and finalize it, and then yes, when we adopt the budget this year, the tax rate obviously will go down substantially, much more than what we promised people it would go down. I did some rough calculations and it'll go down quite a bit, because the sewer budget, or our sewer budget now represents a great part of the village budget. Great total of the village budget.
will that sewer rate, adoption require a public hearing?
Yes,
Okay, so that's when.
but it can be incorporated in the budget hearing.
Well, there'll be some people that come forward, trust me, that say that they don't think it's fair for them, so that's when we'll have to go on a case by case basis, if that's.
Well, I wouldn't think we'd be doing all this work and spending all this money with municipal solutions if we weren't going to adopt it, like several other communities already have,
I think we're probably the exception, the way we do it now, in general, just based on
That's-
property.
I still think it was enough. For the water usage being treated and calculated.
85%, you don't believe is enough? Take a shower, then all goes down the drain.
No, I know that, and that's why I'm thinking if more water is being,
Oh,
I don't drink as much, that much water.
No,
Sit there and say,
I would say, somebody said to me, how much water do you think? I'd say 90%. But,
I would
in the
use-
average house, you got people that don't have sprinklers, they water their lawn by hand. They wash their car with a hose, they do things like that, sure. Sorry, Martin.
Whatever that percent you assign, you attach a rate to it to get to that final figure.
But sure.
well, that's
That's
kind of
what
why
I'm saying,
you
that's-
wanted to go from 80
If
to
it goes down
85.
to 80,
so
the
make
tax rate
rate
goes
lower.
up. Yeah, because you gotta raise a certain amount of money.
It's fuzzy math.
Right.
I'm fine. So I guess for the record, I'm fine with 85, are you?
Yeah.
I mean, this year, to see what's what.
With the,
We know.
with the board's permission, we're going to go ahead and we're going to, let me see here first. I got this Department of Health thing here. This is number. Oh, this is around the water tanks, yeah, okay.
See,
No.
shared
We gotta
services
clear-
summit?
We gotta clear trees around the. water.
Item number 12. Oh, 11, I got shared services. The town of Lake George wants to sit down with us and have a shared services, joint meeting of the town and village board. They'd like to do it probably sometime in January. Maybe even as late as the first part of February. They want to go explore any other services that we might be able to do together. They want to discuss how things have been going with the services that we do share. And I suggested that there would be a good opportunity to discuss the new fire truck that the fire department is requesting. Now, after I said that, then they came back with well, we don't really want to hold a meeting until February. I don't want to wait that long, really, if we don't have to. The firemen presented the truck to the board. I wanted them to wait and present it before both boards at once, but that was fine. I'd like to let them know that we'd like to have that sometime in January, this next month. Right around the time we have our own meetings. And I'd like to have the firemen come and present again. So the village board will be in at it and
Okay.
so on. And
Just let us know when we'll be
and
here.
then get going, so we can get the process underway. If that's agreeable, just let everybody know they'd like to have a joint meeting.
With regarding the fire truck, I had heard some details about them presenting, last week, I believe it was the town's monthly meeting last Monday. And, from what I understood, it was pretty well received by the town board. Now, I would want to confer to them because, they're gonna be paying 78% of this truck. So.
Yeah, well,
I
that's,
don't want to make a decision kind of without them, but at the same time, I had heard that they've, like John had said, kicking the can down the road, you may as well, it's 27 years old, the truck.
they had some, I did get contacted by the town board member and they wanted some figures from us, which will give them how much we got in the reserve fund, how much we'll have in 2 years, and I'm going to give them all that information. They wanted to know if the chief's car was paid for. I told them, yes, it was. We weren't counting that amount of money. And and it was rather positive, I thought, too. But again, we'll put that on the agenda for that joint meeting so we can have a vote right then and there and try to move it forward if we can. But in the meantime, I'll tell them that, yeah, we're agreeable to meet with them and talk about the problems. Item number 12 is tree removal around the water tanks. I know Keith might be on Zoom, but
No.
he's talking about the Department of Health. It's here in their last recommendations of May 24th, 22. They're talking about tree trimming being required around both tanks and be completed this spring. I told Keith that there is a tree company coming next week to our church that is gave us a extremely low bid on a big tree that we're taking down compared to 3 other bids that we got. And that Keith is going to take that gentleman up and show him these trees, and he'll be giving us a quote, which we'll bring up at our next regular meeting. Because if he works that cheap and he takes that big tree down that well, we ought to be looking to give him some business. It was quite a bit less than the other. Keith's got a quote in here from High Peaks, as you can see, which was 13,500, and there was another one in here by Stan Hunt, which was 4,700. So I don't know whether he took them to the same water tank.
No,
No,
there's
it's
2
combined,
portions
it's
all
2.
together.
Yeah,
15,
okay. So, but in any event, Keith will get some
And the other
quotes.
guy was 12.6.
Yeah, he get some quotes from this guy
This guy
that's coming
Dave.
next week. I forget the name of the company. I can't remember. Confined space entry program. Tim, do you know about that?
Yeah, from what I can tell, the village has never adopted a confined space entry program. I mean, us at the wastewater treatment plant, we always follow confined space procedures as defined by OSHA. But technically, we need to have a written confined space program. So I presented one to you to be able to adopt.
We're gonna make you the entry supervisor.
Not no. By definition, you need to define a competent person to be the entry supervisor, which could be my assistant, it could be myself. We've both been trained in confined space.
And
confined
you're
space.
recommending one of your assistants, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Is it
myself,
not-
it doesn't necessarily have to be one or the other.
Yeah, well, it has to be somebody that's competent, so
Right.
they're gonna recommend your assistant probably,
And myself.
rather than yourself.
And myself. But yeah, the policy I presented
Yeah.
is,
Okay,
it's been modified to, to our.
yep.
That's
Is the board agreeable with that?
Yes.
Make a motion.
So move.
Motion by trustee Jones, or second?
A second.
Seconded by trustee Perry. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's carried. We have just a few water changes there. Are the Tessiers moving? Did they sell their house? I see they're down for a water, the last water read. Do you know the Tessiers? Anybody here know?
Which, they're gone. I know they moved to
Oh, she did?
Mary?
Mary.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see they had a final water read. I just was wondering. I know Priscilla Roof's house, the old home down on Lake Avenue, has been sold. So that was nice. That's good. Got that on the books. I'll take the motion for the transfers and audits and the water.
Sold.
Motion by trustee Earl, second.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Perry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. I'll go back to the public hearing on the water, on the business license rates, and ask the village board if they have any comments on any of those. If not, I will make a motion to approve local law number 7,
Declare negative vote?
2022.
We have to declare a negative declaration?
I don't believe so on this.
You see, we have to do it here.
Yeah,
Huh?
that's for, yes, we do.
We do have to, okay.
Yes.
And declare a negative deck. I didn't see that.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Perry. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's carried. Trustee Root.
No, I'll beat right to it. Nice cleanup after the storm. Yeah. He's not here, but. Someone can relay that message.
It was weird.
It was a sloppy storm.
Weird, sloppy storm. But it's, it's kind of funny. We got what we got, obviously, but if you go,
What did I have?
up a little bit in elevation, they got crushed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple of them there
Yeah.
I do get Julie.
I'm gonna wait on that.
on all of them.
Yeah, the next one, yeah.
I think you got like 13.
Trustee Earl.
Nothing.
Trustee Joe.
Well, nothing besides, just have a safe holiday weekend and good luck to everyone.
Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. And
Happy
see you
holidays.
next year.
Trustee Perry.
Same, echo Joe's, everyone has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I did get an interesting a request or email from a lady, and you may hear this out in the community. She wanted to know, she said she was commenting on how beautiful our holiday lights were, not to be called Christmas lights, as you all know. And she said she was really pleased to see the extent that the village had gone to put the lights up, but she was disappointed in the fact that we did not have a nativity scene or a menorah scene in the village. And so I went back in my records, and I think I was correct when I pinpointed the year. Actually, it was 1978 with the a lawsuit was brought against several villages and cities for spending money to purchase and erect the nativity scene because it was a religious display. And at the time, it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And they decided that there had to be a separation of religion so that Christmas lights were no longer Christmas lights in the village. A celebration of the holidays had to be a holiday celebration, not a Christmas. So I explained that to the lady. And she did get back just today with an email and said that she found out that Long Beach, Long Island has a nativity scene that they display. And I thanked her for that. I don't know of any others. The thing that really got me thinking was the fact that the village or the towns or any municipality can't spend any money. And we did have a nativity scene. We bought one right after I got to become mayor. They stole the baby Jesus 3 years out of the 7. And remember, we didn't put the baby Jesus in the crib until Christmas Eve. And they still stole the baby Jesus 3 years out of 7. I just thought, I had it in one of my newsletters. I thought I was right, but they actually, and we used to have it down on the corner of the, where the island was. The island used to be on the beach road. We had it there. And they also stole the village seal. I don't remember if you remember, a huge village seal carved. You probably do, John. They stole the village seal in the middle of the summer as well that year. But it just reminded me that it seems to be a shame that someone in the village that owns 3 or 4 stores can put the F word in his window and he can do all that, and that's legal, and we can't put the nativity scene up legally. I don't know what's fair in today's world, but that sure in hell doesn't seem fair to me. And I'll end this meeting on that note. Yes.
It just made me think of something. That same person that you're talking about, Billy Ave, his place on the corner of Amherst, he's got some, I wouldn't even call them flags anymore. We went through it with him a couple of years ago, where he's got flags coming out from the parapet.
Yeah, we're on them on that.
And, okay.
Yeah, they're all shattered and torn.
We went through it 2 years ago.
We go through it every year with him. He's one of our favorite merchants.
Oh, yeah.
Tim, did you have anything?
I'm good.
Did you want to talk about the Jets game yesterday?
Not really.
You almost got away with it.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Let's talk about the paper.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody.
Can someone donate to the